Hi there, are you ready for a new monthly challenge? This month we're gonna look at adding a touch of fall to your next card project. So come join me. Hi there, Natalie with you today with a new process video for Altenew. And this month I am hosting the October 2021 challenge in the blog. So my base is this beautiful color palette that we have to work with. So I'm going to start by creating the card base for my my card. For that, I've trimmed a piece of Nina 110-pound heavy cardstock to 4 inches by 5 1/4. So that means they're going to fit within the frame on an A2 card. And I'm starting by adding some of that blue. I want to create that blue from the sky and the palette onto my card panel. I am using my large ink blending tool and the pigment inks. I'm starting with a little bit of Caribbean sky, and you're gonna see that I'm just dabbing my ink blending tool on the ink pad, and then I'm gonna go on a circular motion on top of the cardstock so that I diffuse the ink. I'm gonna see 3/4 from the left, on the right, sorry, the right going towards the left of the card. You're gonna see that I'm gonna leave a small arch at the bottom. I just want to create a soft diffusion of color. My idea is to create an ombre sky, just to deepen the color of the blue to the top of the card. This is gonna be a front flap, so that means that is so it's gonna be I want to make sure that the color goes darker from top to bottom. So the next color that I'm gonna use is actually Persian blue, which is the Persian blue pigment ink, sorry, which is the second color in this family. And then I'm gonna finish with a little bit of sapphire. Each time I apply the second, like the next color, I'm just gonna make sure that I apply a little bit less so that I create that little gradient of color. And just to make sure that my pigment ink sets, I'm gonna make sure to add a little bit of heat, and I'm gonna set it aside to just set completely, and I'm gonna start working on the leaves. Now, based on the color palette, I want to bring that autumn feel onto the page. So for this, I'm actually gonna start creating my leaves by applying a little bit of butternut premium dye ink. And I want to use this ink because the butternut ink has a little bit of that earthy tone that fall has. So you're gonna see that I'm using my small ink blending tool. Once again, I am just dabbing my ink blending tool, the bristles of it, on top of my ink pad, and then I'm gonna go in a circular motion on top of my cardstock. I'm gonna cover around 2.5 inches of my cardstock this is 4.5 inches. Once I have the first application of butternut, I need to brighten up that yellow. So I'm gonna bring a little bit of Sunray. This is Sunray Crisp Dye Ink, and again, I'm gonna cover the entire area with the Sunray ink. And then to just deepen that yellow, make it a little bit brighter, I'm gonna add a little bit of Chamomile premium dye ink just on top of it, and I'm gonna make sure that it sets aside to dry a little bit while I get my dyes. Now, I want to bring that touch of fall, so that means I want to use leaves. For this, I went to my little stash and found the Grape Leaves Die Set. I think it's a great feel of autumn for my card story. So I'm going to go ahead and use the outline part of the dies to create the leaves. And then I'm going to use the little detailing, the veining die to create the detail for each leaf out of gradient cardstock. This is from the coffee set gradient cardstock. At the same time, I'm going to use the Just Leaves Die Set to create just a smaller leaves. Think of it as little branches. Now, one of the things that I've done is I added a little bit of double adhesive paper behind the gradient cardstock, so that when I create the die cuts, I'm able to just peel and stick, and that just makes it easier and faster for me to create those little veins around the leaves in a very easy way. All I did is die cut. I just peeled the backing of the paper and glue it straight onto my leaves, and I'm ready to go. Now here is where I'm going to start bringing some of that feel that you see in the photo and in the palette onto my page. And like I told you before, I'm using a front flap card, so I want to put the emphasis of my leaves and the branches on the top left corner of my card panel. Now you're gonna see that I just have 3 leaves. I just want to create a little cluster on the top left corner. So I'm going to start by creating my base. For that, I'm going to use those smaller leaves that I created from the Grape Leaves Die Set and the Gradient Cardstock. This is from the coffee set, and I'm just gonna put them straight onto my background, to my little panel. Once again, I added some double adhesive tape behind them, so it just makes it easier for me to attach it onto the panel. Once I have that, I'm just gonna play with the formation of the 3 leaves so that I create a small cluster. And here's where I'm gonna add a little bit of foam adhesive behind it. To the first one is gonna go flat onto the surface. The second one, I'm gonna add a little bit of foam adhesive, but for the last one, I'm gonna use the instant dimension foam tape from Altenew, just to give it so much height. I want to create the different levels on the leaves, and so that I have that movement, like, create that kind of movement that you see in fall, especially when the air is blowing through the leaves. Once I have that, I'm actually gonna go ahead and add the sentiment. For this, I wanted something that it was a little bit more graphic compared to the movement of the leaves. So I am using the Cartoon Tulips sentiment. There's a sentiment that says thanks, and I just thought it was really graphic, really bold. And then I'm going to use a second one that complements that look, and this one comes from the Floral Thanks stamp set, and I'm actually going to stamp them with blue ink. I'm using Sapphire pigment ink to attach my sentiment, to stamp my sentiment on the bottom right corner of my card. And I'm going to apply a little bit of heat to make sure it sets, and then I'm going to bring a little bit of shine. For that, I'm going to use antique gold metal, the sequin from Altenew, just to I'm gonna just kind of sprinkle them around the card. Now, once I have that, I'm gonna actually go ahead and attach my panel onto my card. I want to make sure that the panel sits flush at the flap of the card. So there's that little the white frame sits at the bottom of the panel. Once I have that, I'm pretty much done. And I love how this turned out. It was so simple to put together, and I love the fact that there's an autumn feel to the card with a really interesting color palette. And as always, I would like to hear what you think about it. Make sure you join the challenge. There's a chance to win a gift certificate. You can find all the details for the challenge in the blog, so I'm going to link it onto the comment section so you can see it. As always, do not hesitate to leave me any comments or questions you might have. I look forward to seeing what you create with this challenge, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, guys.
Hello crafters, Jen here. For more tips, techniques, tutorials, and to discover which paper crafting products are right for you, subscribe to Altenew's YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Thanks for watching.